The Celestial Accord's most advanced diplomatic vessel, Pride of Unity, drifted helplessly in the void between systems. Ambassador Zextol stood on the bridge, his iridescent scales dulled with worry as he watched his crew attempt yet another restart of their quantum drive. The ship's emergency power barely maintained life support, and their distress beacon had been broadcasting for 3 standard cycles without response. They had been testing an experimental jump drive configuration when everything went wrong. Now they floated in an uncharted region of space, far from established trade routes. The ship's senior engineer, Kriva, approached the ambassador with mandibles clicking in frustration. "The drive matrices are completely fused," she reported, her antennae drooping. "We've never seen this kind of cascade failure before. Even if another Accord vessel receives our distress call, we don't have enough power to maintain life support until they arrive." The ambassador's inner eyelids flickered in resignation. The Pride of Unity carried representatives from 12 different species, all members of the Celestial Accord. Their loss would be a devastating blow to galactic diplomacy. As he prepared to order the crew into stasis pods to preserve what little power remained, the ship's sensors detected something unexpected. "Ambassador." The sensor officer's voice crackled with surprise. "We're picking up an approaching vessel. But this can't be right. It's using a propulsion system our sensors can't identify." Through the bridge viewport, they watched as a sleek vessel approached. Its design was unlike anything in the Accord's database, all smooth curves and gleaming surfaces that seemed to bend the light around them. The unknown ship matched their drift perfectly and established position alongside them. Their communications array crackled to life with a transmission in perfect standard galactic. "Celestial vessel, this is the Earth ship Horizon. We detected your distress beacon. Do you require assistance?" The bridge crew froze. Earth, the primitive world that had only recently achieved basic spaceflight. Impossible. Yet here they were, operating technology that defied the Accord's understanding. "This is Ambassador Zextol of the Pride of Unity. We've suffered complete drive failure and are running on emergency power. Any assistance would be appreciated." He tried to maintain his diplomatic composure despite his shock. The response came quickly. "Understood, Ambassador. We're reading your power signatures now. Our engineers think we can help. Permission to send over a technical team." Before the ambassador could respond, Kriva interjected, her professional pride warring with their desperate situation. "Ambassador, we can't allow an unproven species access to our quantum drive technology. The security implications." The human voice cut in, somehow having heard despite their internal communications being offline. "We already know you're using a quantum probability drive with neural interface controls. We abandoned that approach centuries ago. Too unstable at high energies. We can help you modify it to prevent cascade failures like this one." The bridge fell silent. These humans hadn't just developed their own form of faster-than-light travel. They'd apparently surpassed and discarded the very technology the Accord considered cutting-edge. Minutes later, the human engineering team arrived. They wore simple environment suits that seemed to shift colors to match their surroundings. Their tools were elegant and unfamiliar, and they worked with practiced efficiency. The humans didn't just repair the drive. They improved it, implementing safeguards that Kriva's engineers spent hours trying to understand. As power returned to the Pride of Unity systems, Ambassador Zextol watched the humans work with growing fascination. The Celestial Accord had always assumed they represented the peak of technological achievement, that any emerging species would need their guidance to advance. Yet here was humanity, developing in isolation, taking entirely different paths to solve the same problems, and sometimes finding better solutions. "Your assistance has been invaluable," Zextol told the human team leader as they prepared to return to their ship. "The Accord owes you a debt of gratitude." The human smiled. "We're just glad we could help. Though if you're interested, we'd love to discuss establishing formal diplomatic relations. We've been waiting for the right moment to introduce ourselves to the wider galactic community." Zextal's scales shifted to a pattern indicating amused resignation. I believe, after today's demonstration, many members of the Accord will be very interested in talking with Earth. As the human team departed, Zextal turned to Kriva, who was still studying the modifications they'd made. It seems, he said quietly, that we have much to learn from our new friends. And perhaps the greatest lesson is that we had much to learn at all. The pride of Unity's quantum drive hummed with new efficiency as they set course for Accord space. In the ship's wake, unknown to its crew, countless possible futures shifted and realigned. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity's unexpected arrival was only the beginning. The grand chamber of the Celestial Accord buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 100 worlds gathered for humanity's formal introduction. The massive crystal dome above reflected the light of 3 suns, casting ever-shifting patterns across the assembled delegates. Ambassador Zextal stood at the podium, his scales shimmering with anticipation as he prepared to introduce Earth's delegation. The chamber fell silent as 3 humans entered. They wore no elaborate robes or ceremonial armor like the other species present. Instead, their simple blue uniforms seemed to absorb and redirect light in subtle ways that drew the eye. Dr. Sarah Chen led the group, flanked by Dr. Marcus Rivera and Admiral Helena Walsh. Honored members of the Accord, Zextal began. 3 standard cycles ago, these humans saved our most advanced diplomatic vessel using technology we barely understand. Today, they come not as supplicants seeking admission to our alliance, but as equals offering new possibilities. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her presence commanding despite her small stature compared to many alien delegates. Thank you, Ambassador. We've studied your civilizations from afar for centuries, learning your languages, understanding your cultures. We chose to wait, to develop in our own way, before making contact. A Vraxian delegate interrupted, their crystalline form pulsing with skepticism. You claim advanced technology, yet your world shows no sign of quantum arrays, no Dyson spheres, no standard markers of civilization. How do you power your ships? How do you navigate fold space? Admiral Walsh smiled. We don't use quantum arrays because we developed gravitational manipulation instead. We don't need Dyson spheres because we learned to harvest zero-point energy. As for fold space, she paused, looking around the chamber. We don't use it. We found a way to step sideways through probability. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Dr. Rivera activated a small device, and suddenly a holographic display filled the center of the room. But unlike the Accord's standard projections, this one showed actual mathematical models of human technology. The equations and diagrams sparked another wave of chaos as the assembled scientists realized the implications. Impossible, breathed Kriva, who had been invited as a technical expert. You've solved unified field theory. And is that a practical application of consciousness-driven quantum mechanics? We took different paths, Dr. Chen explained. While you mastered quantum probability drives, we explored consciousness technology integration. While you built bigger energy collectors, we learned to tap the fabric of space itself. Different approaches, different solutions, but all equally valid. The Archminister of the Accord, a towering figure of pure energy contained within an ancient environmental suit, moved forward. You say you waited, studied us. Why reveal yourselves now? Because the galaxy is changing, Admiral Walsh replied, her voice carrying across the chamber. We've detected something coming, something your sensors haven't caught yet. We believe that only by combining our different approaches, your traditional methods and our alternative solutions, can we face what's ahead. The holographic display shifted, showing data that made several scientific delegates gasp. The patterns were subtle, but once seen, unmistakable. Something was moving through the galaxy, something that defied conventional detection methods. We don't come seeking to overturn your ways, Dr. Rivera added softly. We come offering partnership. Your civilizations have achieved incredible things. Imagine what we could accomplish together, combining your refined techniques with our unconventional approaches. A Meridian philosopher queen rose, her thought crystals glowing with interest. You speak of partnership, yet you clearly possess technology that could have made you conquerors. Why choose cooperation? Because that's what humanity does best. Dr. Chen replied. We don't want to dominate. We want to collaborate. Our greatest achievements have always come from combining different perspectives, finding unexpected solutions through diversity of thought. As if to emphasize her point, the holographic display began showing the history of human scientific advancement. Not a linear progression, but a web of interconnected discoveries, failures turned into opportunities, and seemingly wrong paths leading to revolutionary breakthroughs. Ambassador Zextal watched the proceedings with satisfaction. The initial shock was giving way to curiosity, skepticism transforming into genuine interest. He saw delegates from traditionally opposed species beginning to discuss the implications of human technology, sharing ideas and possibilities. Perhaps, he whispered to Kriva, this is why they developed so differently. They embraced the chaos of multiple approaches instead of seeking the one right way. The session continued long into the night, with humans patiently answering questions, demonstrating technologies, and always encouraging the Accord species to share their own insights and approaches. As the three suns set, casting the chamber into twilight, one thing became clear to all present. The galaxy would never be the same again. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, something stirred, as if sensing the change. The true test of this new partnership was coming, faster than anyone suspected. The emergency alert pierced through every communication channel in Accord space. On the bridge of the Earth ship Horizon, Dr. Sarah Chen watched as the massive holographic display showed another star system going dark. Not destroyed, simply vanishing from all conventional detection methods. That's the third system this week, Admiral Walsh said, her face illuminated by the eerie glow of the tactical display. The Accord's quantum arrays can't even detect residual energy signatures. It's as if these systems never existed. The Horizon's bridge was a study in controlled chaos. Human officers worked seamlessly alongside Accord specialists, but even their combined expertise struggled to understand what they were facing. Ambassador Zextal stood at the main viewport, his scales shifted to deep indigo, a sign of deep concern. The Accord Council is in permanent emergency session, he reported. 3 billion citizens in those systems. Just gone. Our most advanced ships can't penetrate whatever's causing this effect. We're blind. Dr. Rivera entered the bridge, his hands full of data crystals. The quantum probability models are useless. Whatever this is, it's not operating on any principles we understand. It's as if. He paused, looking troubled. It's as if reality itself is being rewritten. That's exactly what's happening. Dr. Chen's quiet words drew everyone's attention. She stood before the main display, manipulating the holographic controls with practiced ease. We're not dealing with a conventional threat. We're dealing with something that exists outside our understanding of physics. The display shifted, showing a complex web of mathematical equations and energy patterns. Kriva, who had joined the Horizon's engineering team, clicked her mandibles in surprise. These readings, they're similar to your probability drive technology, but on a cosmic scale. We think it's a remnant. Admiral Walsh explained. Something left over from before our universe properly formed. Our development of probability drive technology must have attracted its attention. It's not destroying these systems, it's removing them from our reality and integrating them into its own. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The Accord's defensive fleet, the most powerful collection of ships ever assembled, was useless against an enemy that could simply erase them from existence. Traditional weapons and shields meant nothing. Ambassador Zextal's scales rippled with frustration. The Council is divided. Many believe we should launch a full military assault with everything we have. Others want to evacuate as many systems as possible and retreat to the galactic core. Both approaches will fail. Dr. Chen said firmly. You can't fight something that exists in a different frame of reality. And there's nowhere to hide from an entity that can rewrite the basic laws of physics. Then what do you suggest? The ambassador's voice carried a hint of desperate hope. He had seen enough of human ingenuity to know they rarely accepted impossible situations. Dr. Rivera stepped forward, sharing a meaningful look with Dr. Chen. We have a theory. The entity is attracted to probability manipulation technology because it resonates with its own nature. What if we could use that? Create a sort of reality anchor. You're talking about the Phoenix Project, Admiral Walsh said sharply. It's not ready. The tests nearly tore apart a moon. We're out of options, Dr. Chen countered. The entity will reach the core worlds in less than a month. The Phoenix Project is our only chance to save billions of lives. Kriva moved to the engineering station, her antennae twitching with curiosity. What exactly is this Phoenix Project? Dr. Chen took a deep breath. We've been developing a way to stabilize probability fields on a massive scale. Instead of stepping sideways through probability like our ships do, this would create a fixed point in reality, an anchor that cannot be rewritten or erased. The problem, Dr. Rivera continued, is that it requires an enormous amount of power. More importantly, it needs consciousness to guide it. The quantum consciousness interface has to be perfect, or the feedback could tear apart the fabric of space-time. Ambassador Zextel's scales shifted to a pattern none of the humans had seen before. You're suggesting we bet the fate of the galaxy on experimental technology that could destroy everything if it fails. Yes, Dr. Chen said simply. Because if we do nothing, the entity will consume everything anyway. At least this way, we choose our fate. The ambassador was quiet for a long moment. Then his scales rippled with determination. The Accord's greatest weakness has always been our certainty that we knew best. Perhaps it's time we tried something truly new. He turned to Admiral Walsh. What do you need from us? Everything, she replied. Every ship, every power source, every scientist and engineer who's willing to help. We'll have one chance at this. One chance to prove that our different approaches, working together, can save us all. As the horizon set course for Earth, where the Phoenix Project waited, the vanished star systems hung in the display like a warning. The entity was coming, reality itself was unraveling, and their only hope lay in the untested theories of a species that had chosen to develop differently from everyone else. The race against time had begun, and failure meant not just defeat, but erasure from existence itself. Earth's orbital space had never seen such activity. Thousands of ships from across the galaxy formed a vast network around the planet, their combined power systems linked in ways their designers had never imagined. At the center of this enormous web of energy and technology floated the Phoenix Project, a relatively small station that somehow seemed to bend space around it. Inside the station's central control room, Dr. Chen worked alongside Kriva, their fingers dancing across control surfaces as they made final adjustments. The air crackled with tension and barely contained energy. They had one chance to get this right. Power synchronization at 98%, Kriva reported, her antennae vibrating with the station's intense energy field. The Accord fleet's quantum arrays are fully integrated with Earth's zero-point collectors. I still can't believe this integration is even possible. Dr. Chen managed a tight smile. Different paths, same destination. Sometimes the best solutions come from combining approaches no one thought could work together. She turned to Dr. Rivera, who was monitoring the consciousness interface systems. Status. The neural network is stable, he replied, his face illuminated by dozens of floating displays. We've successfully linked the combined consciousness of volunteer pilots from 27 species. The diversity actually seems to be strengthening the field coherence. Ambassador Zextel entered the control room, his scales shifting through patterns of anxiety and hope. The entity has accelerated. It just absorbed the Centauri colonies. We have less than 6 hours before it reaches the solar system. Admiral Walsh's voice came through the command channel. The defensive fleet is in position. If this doesn't work, we're prepared to throw everything we have at it. Not that it would make a difference. Dr. Chen took a deep breath, looking at the assembled team of humans and aliens working in perfect synchronization. Initialize the Phoenix Protocol. All consciousness pilots, prepare for neural sync. Throughout the station, in specially designed chambers, pilots from across the galaxy entered their interface pods. Each species perceived reality slightly differently, and the human engineers had theorized that this diversity of consciousness would be crucial to creating a stable anchor point in reality. The station's energy levels began to climb as the combined power of thousands of ships flowed through its systems. The space around them seemed to ripple and twist as fundamental forces were bent in ways they were never meant to move. Entity entering detection range, Kriva announced, her voice tight. Its probability field it's massive, far larger than our models predicted. Through the station's viewports, they could see it now, a distortion in space that seemed to swallow light itself. Where it passed, reality simply ceased to exist, replaced by something alien and incomprehensible. Neural sync at maximum, Dr. Rivera called out. Consciousness field is stable and expanding. We're ready. Dr. Chen looked at Ambassador Zextol, who nodded solemnly. This was the moment of truth, where theory became reality, or everything ended. Initiate Phoenix Protocol. Full power. The station pulsed with energy as the combined consciousness of 27 species, channeled through human probability technology and powered by the merged systems of 2 civilizations, reached out to touch the approaching void. The effect was immediate and stunning. Where the consciousness field met the entity's reality-warping presence, space itself seemed to crystallize. The void recoiled as if it had encountered something it couldn't simply erase. It's working. Kriva's mandibles clicked rapidly in excitement. The consciousness field is creating a fixed point in probability space. The entity can't rewrite what we've anchored in reality. But their victory was far from assured. The entity pushed back, bringing its full reality warping power to bear against their protective field. The station shuddered as fundamental forces clashed around them. Power fluctuation in sectors 3 through 7, Dr. Rivera warned. The consciousness pilots are struggling to maintain cohesion. The entity, it's trying to separate their combined perspectives. Dr. Chen's hands flew across her controls. No, unity in diversity. That's our strength. Kriva, redirect power to the neural network. Ambassador, we need you to broadcast to all pilots. Remind them why we're here, what we're fighting for. As Zextol's voice carried across the neural network, speaking of hope and cooperation and the power of combined perspectives, something remarkable happened. The consciousness field didn't just hold, it grew stronger. The entity's assault began to falter as it encountered something it had never faced before. The combined will of multiple species, each perceiving reality differently, yet all working in perfect harmony. The entity is retreating, Kriva announced in disbelief. The anchor point is holding. We're pushing it back. Through the viewport, they watched as the void that had threatened to consume their reality began to dissipate, forced back by the power of their combined consciousness and technology. Where it retreated, the missing star systems began to reappear, restored to their proper place in space-time. As the crisis passed and the cheers of triumph echoed through the station, Dr. Chen shared a meaningful look with Ambassador Zextol. They had done more than save the galaxy. They had proven that the greatest achievements come not from following a single path, but from bringing different paths together. The Phoenix Project had succeeded not because of human technology alone, but because humanity had shown the galaxy a new way forward, one where diversity of thought and approach wasn't just accepted, but essential to solving the greatest challenges they faced. 3 months after the Phoenix event, the Grand Chamber of the Celestial Accord had changed. Where once strict hierarchies and traditional protocols had governed every interaction, now representatives from all species mingled freely, sharing ideas and perspectives with newfound enthusiasm. Dr. Chen stood at the same podium where she had first addressed the Accord, but this time she faced a very different audience. The chamber had been modified with human probability technology merged with Accord quantum systems, allowing representatives from the rescued systems to attend via consciousness projection, a technology that had emerged from the Phoenix Project's breakthroughs. The entity's retreat marked more than just our survival. She began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast space. It marked the beginning of a new era of galactic civilization, one where we recognize that strength lies not in uniformity, but in the combination of different approaches and perspectives. Ambassador Zextal, his scales now permanently bearing the unique pattern that had emerged during the crisis, stood beside her. The Accord was founded on the principle of unity, he added. But we had forgotten that true unity doesn't mean everyone following the same path. It means many paths leading to shared goals. The evidence of this new philosophy was everywhere. Accord ships now incorporated human probability, drives alongside their quantum technologies. Human cities hosted alien research centers, where different species explored technology through their unique perspectives. The rigid structures of the past were giving way to something more dynamic and alive. Kriva, recently appointed as the head of the new Hybrid Technologies Division, activated a holographic display showing the latest project, a space station designed through the combined architectural approaches of 12 different species. We've learned that our differences aren't obstacles to be overcome, she said, her antennae moving in what everyone now recognized as excitement. They're tools that help us see solutions we might have missed alone. Admiral Walsh, who had been overseeing the integration of human and Accord defense forces, stepped forward. The entity showed us how vulnerable we were in our isolation, but it also showed us how powerful we could be together. The Phoenix Project succeeded not because it was the most advanced technology, but because it combined technologies and consciousnesses in ways no one had imagined possible. Dr. Rivera manipulated the holographic controls, showing the spread of new technologies and methodologies across the galaxy. Everywhere, species that had once jealously guarded their scientific advances were now eagerly sharing them, knowing that each new combination could lead to unexpected breakthroughs. We've confirmed that the entity has retreated beyond the galaxy's edge, he reported. But more importantly, we now have the means to detect and counter any similar threats, not through overwhelming force, but through the power of our combined perspectives. The chamber's mood was contemplative as the implications sank in. The galaxy had faced extinction and emerged not just survived, but transformed. The recovered systems were being reintegrated, their populations forever changed by their experience, but bringing new insights to share. A young Meridian scholar apprentice raised her thought crystals. But what if we encounter something even more powerful? Something our combined technologies can't handle? Dr. Chen smiled. That's exactly the kind of question we need to keep asking. The Phoenix Project worked because we remained open to possibilities, willing to try approaches that seemed impossible. Our greatest strength isn't in the solutions we found, but in our ability to keep finding new ones together. Ambassador Zextal moved to the center of the chamber, his scales shifting through patterns that reflected both pride and humility. The Accord once thought we represented the peak of civilization. Earth showed us that there is no peak, only an endless series of new horizons to explore, and we explore them better together. As the session concluded, the chamber filled with the sounds of animated discussion as representatives from across the galaxy shared ideas and planned new collaborations. Outside, Earth's sun set on a changed solar system. Ships of all designs moved through space, their technologies a harmony of different approaches working together. In her private quarters later, Dr. Chen stood at the viewport, watching the activity. Admiral Walsh joined her, carrying 2 cups of coffee, a beverage that had become surprisingly popular among many alien species. "Did you ever imagine this?" Walsh asked, gesturing at the scene before them. "When we first decided to reveal ourselves to the Accord." Chen shook her head, smiling. "We hoped to establish peaceful contact, maybe share some technologies. Instead, we helped reshape the entire galaxy." She paused, considering. "Though I suppose that's very human of us, taking an unexpected path and somehow ending up exactly where we needed to be." Through the viewport, a new ship emerged from Earth's orbital shipyards, its design a perfect blend of human ingenuity and Accord engineering. As it moved into space, its hybrid drives leaving a trail of quantum-stabilized probability waves, it carried with it the promise of what diverse perspectives working together could achieve. The galaxy had entered a new dawn, and the light of this new day illuminated not one path forward, but many, all of them leading toward a future brighter than any single species could have imagined alone.